Hi guys, my son is here with our dog, our Great Pyrenees, Smokey. And you can see he's loving on and petting on. So when we first got Smokey, he had just been weaned from his mom, and we started really early socializing with him. One of the things you got to keep in mind is dogs are descendants of wolves. And so if you've ever tried to go out in the wilderness and start loving and petting on a wolf like Nick is doing with Smokey, not going to happen, okay? Either the wolf is going to run off or it's going to bite your hand off, okay? Instinctively, wolves are, they're not just born and immediately become friends with humans, okay? And this was a long process, but we can breed for animals to be more social and interactive. Certain breeds, for example, the Great Pyrenees, great dog, a lot of your large breeds are that way. So they're not as nervous, and so they don't mind actually interacting. Especially with these guys, these Great Pyrenees, is they can be around sheep and goats and chickens and interact with them and not bother them and those kinds of things. So our socialization with good old Smokey was really quite easy. But we did start really early. We worked with him at a very early age. But sometimes you may have issues not only with the breeds. Some breeds may not be quite as social as the Great Pyrenees. Especially smaller breeds are going to feel a little more intimidated because they're much smaller. And you'll have other ones where it's just maybe that they're runts. So if you have a runt of the litter, they've already gotten beaten up and intimidated and whatnot. But you do want to start that process early, understanding that, they evolved from wolves. We're going to have that same issue if we don't interact with them. They're not going to want to interact with us, okay? So you're going to see in the video clips, our first dog example that we're going to show you is our part Border Collie, which is a very social and interactive dog, but is part also Mountain Cur. And Mountain Curs are hunting dogs. They're good for training, but they also are ones they can be aggressive when they need to be, but they're not the lovey-dovey like you see in the Great Pyrenees, but great dogs, great for hunting. But you got that breed, that part of that breed in that dog. But the other thing is poor JoJo was a runt of the litter. And runts, unfortunately, are going to get beaten up and bullied by, and so they're ones that are going to kind of hide in the back of the cage when they're with the litter and whatnot. So we had to work a lot. He was very timid at first. So you're going to see one of the things Nick is going to be working with him in the video. And what you'll see, first of all, is that he had to get down real low to kind of interact with JoJo. You'll see when JoJo comes up, he'll kind of crouch down a little bit. So still very submissive overall. So we work on that. But again, he's done really well. We also, you'll see him working. Nick will be working with him on with a toy and playing fetch. And so we pick first a toy that is something he's familiar with, not intimidating, a good old simulation of a possum because he likes to chase possum and other wildlife. But you'll see that we're working on that because honestly, he's not retrieving it back to us. So what we find is that he ends up not wanting to give it back. And that happens a lot of times because a dog's not sure, again, if it's a timid dog, he has to fight for every scrap he gets. So giving something he wants back to Nick, for example, no matter how much he loves him, that's just showing that he's got to trust him enough and feel comfortable enough that Nick might give it back to him. So those are some things that you've got to think about when you're working with those things. Think about it on the dog's level. So we're working on those things still with him, and he's not a puppy anymore, but he's still the more timid of the group. And when he's hanging out with these big Pyrenees, that can be an issue. The other thing is you're going to see his work. We just got a corgi in, actually 2 corgis, but we're working with both of them. We've got one that's kind of the runt of the group, so we're even on the very small stages, but the one that's a little bit older, he's doing fairly well, as you'll see. But one of the problems we've got is he came from the breeder. Both of them came from the breeder that they had him for 9 months. No one wanted him because he didn't have his ears up. Neither one of them did. And so they really weren't the profitable one. They weren't going to make a lot of money off them. They didn't even know they could sell them. They really, we stumbled across them after 9 months. And they were given to us because their ears weren't up. And so for 9 months, they got no socialization. So you have not only a runt, and like I said, you won't see that one in the video, but you'll see the brother that's a little bit bigger because we're working on it. But for 9 months of non-socialization with a smaller dog, so the smaller dog breeds, a lot of times, they don't feel as gutsy as these big ones do. Hi, Smokey. And so that's one thing that's kind of an issue that you'll find. So We're going to take things kind of slow with them. You'll see even just giving treats. I mean, you've got to build that trust for them to eat out of your hand. So we're working on that, getting them used to toys that aren't so scary, and trying to stay at the lower level, eye level, so they don't feel as intimidated. So you're going to see some activities that we're doing, and we're still working with them. And again, it just emphasizes the importance of socialization and starting really early. So watch our videos and enjoy, and hopefully you can find some good work with your dogs as you start to work, especially with your puppies, and then they can turn out as great as our Smokey has. So enjoy our videos.